Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next installment of the Voluntary Benefit Shop bi-weekly broker webinar series. Today we have our friends from Chubb on to talk to us about their group personal excess program. Again, my name is Mike Walker, president of the Voluntary Benefit Shop. Apologize for my lighting today. It's so bright out, it makes me look like Darth Vader here on the screen. But again, thank you very much for joining us for this installment of the Voluntary Benefit Shop's bi-weekly webinar series. Today we have our friends from Chubb on. We have Jill and Donna and Mark from Chubb on today to talk a little bit about the Chubb Group Personal Excess program. Before we jump into that, let me just do my little 30-second commercial on the Voluntary Benefit Shop. Most of you, I think, already know what we do, but if you're a new first-time attendee to our bi-weekly webinar series, the Voluntary Benefit Shop is here to help all of you brokers with all of your voluntary benefits needs. So if you have a client that you want to look at voluntary benefits for, we work with all the major carriers, all the major products. Reach out to us and we can handle your due diligence, come back to you with a recommendation and help you with your implementation. We're really here to help with beginning to end strategy to help you monetize and do the best you can with that voluntary benefits opportunity. You can see my contact information listed here, so feel free to reach out if you have any particular needs or clients that you want to talk about. And again, thank you for joining us on the call today. With that, I'm going to turn it over to our friends from Chubb to get started and talk to us about the Chubb Group Personal Excess program. I did want to say before they jumped on that, or before they got started, that I think this is a great, very innovative product. I think of it as a great executive level voluntary benefit. It could also be, I know that they'll talk about this, but it could also be employer paid as well. But I think of it as a great executive level voluntary benefit. And I personally think it's a great combination product to combine with the Life with LTC product personally. But with that said, I'll turn it over to the Chubb team and let you guys run with it.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you having us today. Hi, everyone. My name is Jill Morrow, and I work with Chubb Personal Risk Services. I'm a business development manager out here in the state of Maryland, and I'm here to talk to you today about driving growth and profitability for your agency through our Group Personal Excess product. So today, we will be going over the following items. What actually is Group Personal Excess? We're going to start from the beginning and why you should start offering it. I'm also going to talk about how you can design and sell this product. I'm going to share with you some of our recent success stories within the company to help get you mind going with some ideas of who could be potential prospects. And then we'll also go briefly over some of the logistics and marketing tools to help you enact this product. So let's start with the basics. What is an actual excess policy? So first, personal excess liability insurance is a financial tool that helps protect the individual's assets and accumulation of wealth. It protects you if you should experience a devastating lawsuit if someone slips and falls in your home or is involved in an auto accident. An excess policy will kick in once your primary liability from your home, auto, or watercraft is exhausted. We actually live in a very litigious society right now where no one is immune from a lawsuit, and proper protection for assets is necessary. We all work very hard for what we have, and we want to protect it. Our group access program is Chubb's Access Policy is available for a defined group and tailored to that organization's needs. It has all the great features such as worldwide personal coverage. Each participant can receive their own limit, which is really great. Some people might need 2 million. Some people might need 10 million. These are actually limits that are not easy accessible in the marketplace. So for some people with their current carrier, they may only be able to get a 5 million limit when in actuality they might need 10 or 15. This group access program could solve that problem for them. It covers the employee, the spouse, children in the household, or domestic partners. So it does cover everyone. Also, One of the great things about this program too, and having our excess policy, is that there's limited upfront underwriting, which is great because there's some individuals who may not actually qualify with their current carrier, and then this will help protect them. But not to mention too, when you have a standard excess policy, you need to report anytime you buy a new auto or get rid of an auto. Same thing for boats and homes. And we know a lot of times with successful individuals and families, they may not be the best at reporting this, and so there could be gaps in coverage. With our group personal excess policy, we don't need that information. We just need to know their limits and the amount. So that makes it great for them. So I want to actually go ahead and share in the real world where this group excess policy would actually kick in and how it plays out in real life scenarios. So let's look at this claim scenario number 1. Here we have a participant who was cooking on a stove, and a gas stove had accidentally left it on. This actually caused a fire to his apartment and surrounding buildings. Luckily, no one was hurt, but it did cause extensive property damage to all his neighboring apartments. So what happened for this policy is that his own policy only covered up to $400,000. The excess policy that he had through Chubb covered the rest of the $2.8 million. So this covered damage to neighboring apartments, their own personal property, and then as well as additional living expenses from those residents that had to be displaced from the homes until the apartments were rebuilt. So you can see this is very important coverage to have and how it plays out. Another claim scenario is actually going to be involved in the auto world. And we do see a lot of auto involved claims that do arise in the industry itself. So here we actually see a judgment of about $5 million. So what happened here was that a GPE client's daughter actually allowed a friend to drive her car. So there's permissive use, which is allowed. So we all can think about it ourselves. If you have kids and they're in high school, they let their friends drive their cars from here to there. Same thing for us as adults too. Sometimes someone does need to drive your car. Well, what happens is, in this instance, is that the other driver actually got into a pretty severe accident because she struck a building and injured another driver. The auto portion of the policy only paid up to $500,000 in liability, and then the excess liability actually covered the additional $5 million to the injured passenger. So in this payout, it was great to have the excess policy because it paid out to the full term of $5 million. And I want to talk a little bit more about this too, because you're thinking, wow, $5 million for an auto accident, and this is becoming quite common nowadays. And you may have heard throughout the insurance industry about social inflation. So social inflation is where juries are actually awarding higher payments to the plaintiffs because they want to see distribution of wealth. So they actually do target successful individuals and families. So where once you might have seen a payment that might have came out for $1 million, now you're seeing $5 million, $6 million, $10 million. It can go up. So this is something to think about because you want to make sure everyone is properly protected. And another thing we're seeing out there too is that a lot of times now attorneys are actually getting investors for their court cases because they know there's going to be these high payouts. So attorneys will go ahead and have investors help fund the case, knowing when they go to court, the jury's probably going to side with them and then have a higher payout. All something to be considering. Another scenario that we have too is actually when an individual that was a spouse of one of the participants was in a car accident and severely injured his arm, which related to multiple complex surgeries. And then in this instance, the other driver did have was not insured. So this is actually quite common in the marketplace. We have a lot of people that don't have insurance that are currently driving their cars, or they're underinsured. So this is where the excess policy kicked in on the uninsured, underinsured motorist protection. And it was able to pay up to a little over $1 million for his medical bills and any of his lost wages. So I'm hoping you can see here that these real world claim scenarios do happen, unfortunately, pretty frequently, and you want to make sure that people are properly protected. So this is why Chubb is here, and we created a group personal excess product so that you can offer it. Just a little bit more about Chubb is that we've been in the business for over 40 years. We are a trusted brand name. We have one of the highest financial ratings out there for the insurance companies. We are a global company. We service clients worldwide. And we also have one of the most renowned known claim staff that's experienced and knowledge and are seen as trusted advisors out in the market space. So now you might be thinking, well, how does this work for me? Well, we all know that employers are now looking for unique ways to retain their employees. And this is where Group Personal Excess fits in perfectly because it is a unique program. We've had lots of success in this program in selling into financial institutions, law firms, medical groups, and a few other industries as well. It is a perfect way for employers when they onboard new hires or to help retain their own employees because it offers protection of their financial assets so they don't have to worry about their employees having a misfortune. Also, it gives them coverage that is not easily found in the marketplace. As I said before, sometimes you can't get those higher limits, for those board of directors, so they can get access to the 10 to the 15. It's also very easy to administer and to purchase coverage for the employees themselves. It's a flexible policy, so it's not a one size really fits all. We can craft it and tailor it to that organization's needs. And it's also very convenient to administer. I know that's the other question people are asking. Well, how much time does it take? This program is, we set it up. We actually do recommend for onboarding that we actually set this program up not during the regular onboarding of all the other insurance packages because it tends to get lost in the 5 to 10 different things that are being offered, but to do it outside of that to get everyone in. And then it also allows them to, there's not much upfront underwriting. So it is just simple key pieces of information that is needed, such as the participant's name, address, and liability limits. So when we're looking at these employer groups, we're going to be looking for different firms, such as law firms, accounting firms, private equity firms. Insurance companies have been a great market for us too, manufacturers, medical groups, consultants. So these are just some of the employers that we've seen who have chosen to go with Group Personal Excess and are very benefits focused. So when we actually look at the program, we're looking at 2 different types of programs. As I mentioned, it can be tailored to the organization. So we have a 100% participation program, and where we need at least 25 individuals, and you can see limits anywhere up to 1 to 50 million, or we can have a voluntary program where we start at 50 million. So I've seen some organizations choose to do things a different way. So maybe you want to offer it to all the C-suite, and there's 25 board members. So we do a mandatory program where all are 100% participating. Or maybe perhaps they want to do a voluntary program for the whole entire company where we need at least a certain percentage actually enrolled to do that as well, but we need a minimum of at least a group size of 50. So there's different ways to craft this program. And sometimes I've seen it happen where we've had both programs in place. The company does one for the 100% participation for all the C-level execs, and then they open it up for everyone through the voluntary. So as you can see, it can be done a couple different ways. Some of the additional coverages that are offered in our excess policy to let people know that they're getting the best coverages out there. We offer uninsured and underinsured limits starting at 1 million. We also provide some additional benefits too. We have defense coverage outside the limit. There's no annual aggregate. We offer identity management services. So in case your identity is stolen, there's coverage in there for that. We offer first dollar coverage for non-owned rented automobiles and watercraft, which is really important. We also provide coverage for not-for-profit directors and officers and employment practices liability. Also included in this, I know there's even more, we do kidnap expense, identity management services, reputational injury expenses, so maybe you need to get your name repaired. We have coverages for that, loss of earnings, and shadow defense. Our product is offered in majority of the states, so we have it in admitted policy states and non-admitted policy states. There are just 2 states where we cannot offer coverage, and that is in the states of Arizona and Vermont. Now let's talk more about some of the success stories of programs that were actually sold in by Chubb over the last year to kind of get some ideas of who we've been writing for. As you can see here, the first one's out in California. The premium was about $850,000, a very nice program. It was actually for all the designated doctors and administrators, and as a voluntary program. So they offered $1 million to $10 million limits for a regional hospital system. Out in Pennsylvania, close to $500,000 was written for pharmaceutical company. In New York, actually, there was a mandatory program written for all the execs for a global consulting services provider, and they offered limits between 1 and 5 million. And sometimes what we see happen here too is when people do the mandatory programs, a lot of times too, they'll maybe go ahead as a great employee benefit is they'll buy that first million and allow their employees to buy up as necessary and as they see fit. Even in Connecticut, they did a smaller board of directors for all the associates at $45,000 in premium that was booked for $2 million worth of coverage for a practice of medical specialist. So these are just a couple ideas that can help you think of future prospects. So for the group process, kind of getting down to some of the logistical side of it too, is that we can provide quotes so you can go out to groups prior to kind of know what you're presenting and what it's going to cost. We just need a few key pieces of information. Mainly, we need to know who the organization is going to be and who that defined group is. Do we want it to be the C-suite? Do we want it to be all senior level VPs? Do we want it to be, everyone in the company? That's something we'd have to determine. And we need to know how many people are in that group. And then also the limits of coverage requested. And then we can provide a quote. From there, it's a pretty simple process from binding to issuing, is that we do have an enrollment template that we ask individuals to fill out where we just need the name, address, and limits for each participant. It's also agency billed. And then the commission on it is 15%. And then post issuance is actually a great service that we have, is that you can actually issue the certificates. They're generated in a PDF format. We do have a website that can pull up the certificates at any given moment in time. And then the master policy is actually mailed to the sponsoring organization. We also have, of course, great marketing tools for you to use. So you don't have to recreate the wheel. We have great information to give to potential employers about why they should be offering group personal access that are designed already there. We have claim examples. As I just shared with you, these claim examples are great, getting people to understand what the product is and how important it is and how it can be a great retention tool, onboarding tool for their employees. We also have presentations that you can use as well, going through what the product is, why people should have it, going from the employee side. We also have created templates for enrollment, for webinar invites in case you want to get everyone online just to talk about the product and go more in details. We also have some cross-sell email templates too if you want to go after additional lines of business from those participants. So in essence, our group access policy is a great tool for employers to have, as it is a unique way for them to gain employees and to retain employees. It also sets you apart from other agencies because not everyone can offer group personal access. So you're going to bring a key definer into that group of showing them how you can help retain business and be that trusted advisor. It is an easy policy to administer. It provides new opportunities and discussion points with these employers, showing them your value as well. We offer broad coverage with our products. So you're bringing a best-in-class product to these individuals, letting them know that they have worldwide coverage, they have high limits. And then also it does bring in more premium at the end of the day, which everyone does enjoy. So this is the conclusion of our presentation. If you have any questions, please enter them into the chat box now.
Thanks so much, Jill. Really appreciate the information, great information. And like I said, everyone, I think this is a really natural fit for those organizations that have, strong executive teams. Jill gave you some examples of some of the industries where it really works well. And I'm personally excited about the opportunity to be able to market this as an executive level benefit and combine it with the life with LTC. Chelsea, can you check and see if there's anything in the text box? It does look like Sandy has a question. He's got his hand up.
Natalie has asked, is 25 the minimum participant number?
Yes.
And Sandy,
Great.
if you have a question, if you want to go ahead and enter it into the chat field. Jason would like to know, when offered on a voluntary scale, how do you determine an individual's coverage amount? Do you have to obtain a record of their current assets?
So no. So the individual would choose the amount that they would need. And that would depend on actually what the assets are. And we do have some sheets that can help people determine how much liability they do need. But in that voluntary program, generally the way it is crafted is that we have limits that they can choose from. And it could be from, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million, and they would choose what limit that they need. And they could have a discussion about what would be the appropriate number for them. But they would have a choice.
Jason wants to know, he would like to ask some more questions. Who should he reach out to?
So Jason, thank you. Yes, you can reach out to me. I will send over my contact information and we can just go in more detail and answer any additional questions that you have.
Mike Hillary has a question. She would like to know, is this something that can be included on an enrollment platform?
We don't have that set up just yet, but I do believe, and I can get back to you on this as well too, I think some other organizations have found a way to offer it on a platform. We generally just have an Excel sheet that we ask to be filled out from the employer. But I'll get back to you on that one because I know we've been working with different things with IT to make it an easy process.
Great. It looks like that's it, Mike.
Jason also asked if you work with PEOs and labor unions.
It would have to be dependent on how it's made up and consistent, and have to talk to underwriting on it as well.
So it's case by case decision.
Mm-hmm.
Understood. Any other questions?
Great questions, everyone.
There's none on my end.
Hey, Chelsea, do you have the ability to unmute Sandy so we can see if he has a question? Because we have a little time.
Sandy, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, you should be able to.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to verify the only license you needed was a health license to sell the product, was one question.
Actually, no, you do need a P&C license. You have to work with a P&C agent. It is a P&C product.
That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. That's why I asked it that way. And can you give me an idea of what the rates are? I saw total premium for a policy, but you have to have some kind of feeling for what the rates are.
So that is a good question too in itself. So the rates are going to differ depending on the group that we do submit into and the size. We are more competitive, honestly, when you get to the 5 million and higher, but you can be looking at rates anywhere from, the 300 to 400 starting off. So.
Say that again differently about the 300 to 400 start. So if I was a person and I was buying 10 million, what would my monthly or annual rate be?
It could be, and you can't hold me to
this. It could be a range, I understand.
Yeah.
I'll take a big range, but if I'm going out talking to a client just to feel interest, I have to have an idea of what it's gonna, what kind of range I'm gonna be talking about.
Hey, Sandy, this is Donna. I thought I would suggest that one of the things that we can do is we can set up dummy quotes for organizations that you're going out and talking to. So you would have an estimated rate depending on the coverage limit those individuals picked. But that's something that we can do, is we can actually quote it up so you can take a look at it before you even start the presentation to the employer.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So Joe, what do you think on 10 million though? Like in general, do you think is it $2,000 a year? And in general, I know it's not gonna hold you to it. And Natalie's asking 300 to 400 monthly.
Oh, sorry.
No, Natalie, I think that's 300 to 400 annually for probably $1 million in coverage.
Yes, so we're looking. Sorry, I apologize. We're talking in annual terms, so that's monthly. So Yes. So it's not too bad, but anywhere I would say, I think I've seen some come in close to 500, for 10 million.
Okay.
Okay,
Annually, that's really affordable for 10 million.
right. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good number. Okay.
Yeah, that's really affordable for 10 million. I have this, and honestly, my rate's not nearly that good for the amount that I have, because I have less than 10 million, but I have this, and my rate is much higher than that for the amount I have. So anyway, so that sounds good. Any other questions?
There are none in the chat.
Okay. Okay, can we go to the okay, Natalie's asking, great number, and did she understand that there's an LTC component? So, Natalie, let me just clarify that. There's not an LTC component that's part of this policy, but I think this policy is a great combination with the Life with LTC programs as an executive level voluntary benefit. So in other words, we go in with an executive level voluntary benefit package, and part one is this, group personal excess plan. Part two is Chubb's Life with LTC program, because Chubb has a real nice Life with LTC product as well. So it would be two separate products. Hopefully that clarifies it. Okay, can we go to the next slide, please? Guys, we'll wrap this up. Again, so we have some upcoming webinars coming up. Guys, on June 23rd, we have the team from Parento on to talk about paid parental leave. Pretty innovative program. We've had a lot of people ask about it, so I thought it was worthwhile for you to hear about it. On July 7th, we have the team from Experian talking about their financial wellness product, which includes identity theft protection along with financial wellness protection. And then on July 21st, we have the team from Pets Best on to talk about pet insurance. They have a really nice pet insurance program. So those are the upcoming webinars we have. Next. Could you go to the next slide, please? Okay, so again, guys, just to wrap this up, if you have any questions about voluntary benefits, reach out to the Voluntary Benefit Shop. We're here to help with all your voluntary benefits needs. Again, my name is Mike Walker, and I appreciate you jumping in and joining on this segment of our bi-weekly webinar series. We're here every 2 weeks to do this for you and give you some sales ideas and some innovative products, and let you talk to some of the best people in the industry. So again, reach out to us if you need anything. Thanks so much to the team from Chubb. We appreciate it. Jill, thanks for your time and running through everything today. And thanks to everyone who joined.